Morning, everybody. I thought I'd come and say a quick hello and introduce this gentleman, but I think he's introduced himself already, has he? Excellent stuff. I'm going to be sitting at the back here because I'm a big social media head. And I think some of your grandchildren and children are, right? And that's why you're here? To find a little bit more about it. Well, this gentleman's got a series of 5 lectures. It's going to be about social media, what's it all about, then specifically talk about Facebook, Google+. Anybody heard of Google+? A few. And a little bit more about that over a series of 5 lectures. Again, I always mention that the lectures will be in here. Check the times and the dates. And this gentleman will be enlightening you about all of social media. So without further ado, I'll let him crack on to where he was talking about. It's Dr. Belew.
Oh, no, okay. All right, so I lost my train. So I have a 31-year-old, a 28-year-old, and a 6-year-old. I like to joke that my kids would not have grandkids, or maybe they didn't know how to do it, so I showed them how to do it myself. So I take my 6-year-old to the farmer's market, and we're out there at the farmer's market. This dude comes up and says, "Is that your granddaughter?" And I didn't answer him real quickly. He said, "Is that your great-granddaughter?" I'm going to slap the guy, right? No, she's 6 years old, and she's all mine. So I want to talk about social media. I just lost my, what? I lost my train of thought there. It is remarkable what our kids think they can do. And I'm talking about 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20 years old. It is incredible what comes into the mind of these kids that they think, well, if I do this, it'll cause this worldwide effect. Thomas Edison, I don't suppose that Thomas Edison, when he finally harnessed the light bulb, he thought, well, now this is going to change the world. I think he was just probably happy that he could work at night from then on. And then there was Henry Ford, got the car running. Well, that's going to change the world. No, I think he was just happy. She hunkered down into Calcutta, and she's going to start teaching teaching people how to love. Well, I don't suppose that she thought she would change the entire world by showing people how to do that. But there are young people, 19, 20, 23, 24, 25 years. They're our grandkids, for crying out loud, and they think they can change the world. And what's more remarkable is that they're actually doing it. They are actually reaching into the entire world and causing a ripple effect everywhere. Now, I know that your kids and your grandkids know more about social media than you do. But I promise you, by the time I am done after these 5 sessions, you will know something about social media that they don't. They might know how to text at 140 characters a second or whatever, but there's a lot of background to this, and that's where I'm headed at in the next few talks. This is Google's mission statement. Google's mission is to organize the world's information. I cannot even organize my desk, and they want to organize the entire world's information, and they are doing it. Now, Google, I'm not a big fan of Google. I'm going to show you a map. I live about 4.5 miles from Google headquarters. So I'm not a tremendous fan, but what Google does, I met somebody from South Carolina. Are they here? Who's from South Carolina? There you are. So in South Carolina, Google has what's called a server farm. The server farm is about the size of a football field wide and a football field long. Effectively, this building is the same size as this cruise ship. And they have 24 of these throughout the world. And on these server farms, the size of this cruise ship, football field wide, 7 stories tall, they have a bunch of little CDs, little hard disks. Remember 45 RPMs, the 45? It's like that, only fatter. And inside these server farms, there is nothing but disks placed throughout up rows and rows and rows and rows, 7 stories high. And on their server farms, they have a copy of everything that's ever been put on the internet. And they have 24 of these placed throughout the world. And each one cost about $1 billion. And on those server farms, they are organizing the world's information. So that when you sit at your desktop, you type something in up at the top, up it pops in milliseconds. Who would think anything could go that fast? But we can say, I want to know this, and up it comes. Google is trying to get that information. Here is the president or the CEO of Facebook. Facebook, its mission, give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. When we'll meet this guy in the next talk, he was 17 years old when he came up with this idea of Facebook. He just turned 30. And he has 1/5. 1 out of every 5 people in the world are now playing with this tool that he created. There's only one other person that I can think of, and if Dr. Wesley was here, he's smarter than I am. He might know better than I do. I don't know anybody else who says, well, I want to reach the world. I have to go back about 2,000 years to, of course, today being Sunday, my background, my roots, and my undergraduate is in the Bible. We go back to the time of Jesus where he says, what? Go into the world and make disciples. Now, I don't pretend for a moment that Zuckerberg or Larry Page or Sergey Brin or anything, guys, or anything on the level of Jesus. But we have to go back a very long time before we find people who think that they can actually impact the entire world. What's really remarkable is that they are doing it. So, we have 5 talks on how to influence the world. There is an overarching theme that I want to cover here. There's a bigger storyline than just understanding social media. And that is one of dreams. I wonder who in this room still has dreams. You see, these folk, there's a dreamer. Who still has dreams? Who think, well, it's too late now, it's too whatever. I lived in Japan for almost 20 years. And I taught university there in Japan. I also created my own language school. And I had a teacher who came over, Emma Epps. Emma was 67 years old. She said, she got her teacher's certificate when she was 52, 53. She went into the elementary school. She started teaching. She said, I want to go over to Japan. At 67 years old, she said, I want to live in a foreign country and see what it's like to do that and try to make a contribution there. The biggest obstacle she had, she told me, to her dream was that her mother got mad at her because her mother was 99 years old. She says, my mom treats me like a child and I'm a grandmother, for crying out loud. You see, it is never too late to have dreams. So I'm going to take you to a place today where dreams come true. Now, we're not going to Mickey Land. We're not going to Disneyland. I go there sometimes, but that's not what I'm talking. A real place where people with real ambitions can make real dreams that impact the entire world. We're going to go there today. That's one of the talks. So that's the hype, all right? We also have people trying to get the whole world to like one another. Well, that's kind of altruistic, isn't it? Can we get to the whole world to love one another? Well, let's start with getting them to like one another. How about if we can organize the entire world? They could start in my stateroom downstairs. Good luck with that. You couldn't believe what I could not find before I got up here. And then we got people who are trying to link the world together. And here we're going to have to make a decision. Because I have 6 talks, but I only have 5 time slots. So I'm going to let you all decide whether we're going to link the world or message the world. There is now the capability to, at 140 characters, to send a message to the entire world. Have you ever been asked the question, what would you say if the whole world were listening? Well, the whole world's listening. Now, what are you going to say? We have that capability of touching the whole world and the message to the world. Link to the world. Lori, is that right? Lori just got her job off of LinkedIn. She was swearing by it last night. My ear, no, I'm kidding. At the dinner table last night. So linking the world, this one might be my favorite. Do we have any Brits here? And yeah, we got a few Brits. I knew there would be some of you, so I did research just for you. Do you know there are 5 million Brits on LinkedIn? Now we got Mel. Everything. His first name starts with Mel. His last name starts with Mel. The guy, he's a Brit, right? Do you know how many professional magicians there are on LinkedIn? I know, and I'm going to tell you in that talk. But what's more interesting to me, do you know how many professional mermaids? Mermaids. Oh, I'm serious. Mermaids. There are mermaids on LinkedIn. Do you know how, I am serious. I will show them to you and if we get to that talk. So you're going to have to make a decision whether you want to know how many mermaids there are or whether you want to be able to reach the world. And then there is one type of social media that is far, far more powerful than all of these put together. there is still within our ability, there is still at our fingertips the capability of changing or at least affecting the entire world. And that's what the last one's on, the influencing the world. So we're going to have to decide which one we want to cut out, right? So what's all the hype about? What's all the hype about? I want to talk about when social media started, what social media is, what the different types are. Then we'll go to who is on social media. You'll be surprised. I want to look at the demographics. You know, who, what age group, what's the most popular age group, what's the least popular age group, and how about this demographic? Where do we fit in? I'll show you a chart on where you fit in and why people are doing social media and where are they doing it at. That's the gist. Those are the 5 talks. These are what we want to talk about. We're going to talk about dreams, a place where dreams come true. We're going to talk about dreamers. What kind of people make their dreams come true? And then we're going to talk about what prevents people from their dreams being realized. And we're going to look at some of the tremendous obstacles these fellows overcame and these women overcame in order to see their dreams come true. And then we're going to talk about how we can realize our dream. So the overarching story is how to continue to dream. But more specifically, we want to take a look at the different social medias, This is old school social media. Does anybody remember doing this at the supermarket? This is actually not so old school. There's a coffee shop where I go all the time because I work out of a coffee shop. Why would I pay $1,000, $2,000 for an office when I can get free Wi-Fi at the coffee shop? And this is a picture up there on the coffee shop. These people are trying to swap information. I have this, you need that. Who are you? Can we contact each other? Speaking of swapping information and getting to know each other, I brought one of my hugest credibility factors with me this morning. And she's sitting right here. This is my wife, Samantha, and she's my credibility factor. We met online back before social media was even born. It's like a precursor to social media. It was back when it was uncool to meet people online. It was, you're so desperate you can't get a date. You have to find somebody online times. Yeah, it was. So if I met somebody online, well now, eHarmony, Christian, whatever, Mingle Singles, and all these sort of people, back then it was not cool. Still, she was online. She was trying to go somewhere here in America to go to university to get her MBA. And I was teaching graduate school, and I'm on my way to China. So I had some downtime while I was on this tour in China. So I'm on give me something to do in my free time.com. Or I'm bored.com when I'm in China.com or something like that. And she said, I want to go to the university.com. Can somebody help me find an apartment.com? And so in one of these forums, it's just an online where I need this and I'm looking for that. Online space, kind of like a social medium, is where we met. She wanted to go to school somewhere. She applied to some 5 different schools. None of them answered her. Not one of the 5 schools answered her. I said, well, tell me what the names are. She gave me the names of the 5 schools, gave me her identification. I called them up. I said, this is my friend, answer her. Within a week, she got answers from all 5 of them. Now, you and I know I didn't do anything. It was just good timing on my part, right? It was just good timing. But she got answered. But anyhow, she ended up I ended up going to China. We met there. She came here. I helped her get settled in. And that's how that happened. So we've been married 13 years now. And so that's almost a new record for me, but not quite. So this is new school social media. New school social media. We got Twitter, we got Facebook, we got Blogger, we got StumbleUpon. Gosh, we got YouTube, we got WordPress, all sorts of things I can think there. Old school versus new school. Silicon Valley. Born in Silicon Valley. 1995, Yahoo. Yahoo! We all know Yahoo, right? Yahoo is launched. Jerry Yang, he's a graduate, a master's student at Stanford University. We all know Stanford University. Good school, puts out good stuff. We're going to come back there in a minute. So 1995, Yahoo is born. 1997, we have 6 degrees of separation. 6 degrees of separation is born. This is a social medium that's way advanced. It's way ahead of its time. And the theory was, if I know somebody, and that person knows somebody, and that person knows somebody, that person knows somebody, and that person knows somebody, and that person knows somebody. That's 6 degrees of separation. I can reach anybody in the world by 6 degrees of separation. I just need to know who knows, who knows, who knows, who knows, who knows, who knows. But it was way too early. It flopped. Reid Hoffman, he built it, it flopped. And then 1998, Google was born. Google was born. America. Not the center of the universe. Although we might want to think that. The center of the universe is actually over here in Silicon Valley. Really? No, not right. But this is where I live. So we can start off here at 111 Arquez Avenue. Do not stalk me, okay? That's my real address. And my house is right down here. Right down here. And then we have Google headquarters. Google headquarters is right over here. Then I have Yahoo building. Yahoo building's about 1.5 miles from my house. Facebook Inc. Facebook sits right up here. There's Facebook. LinkedIn. When I go to the supermarket, I can throw a rock and hit LinkedIn's headquarters. It's huge. They got 4 buildings, 6 stories tall. They had IPO. IPO, you know, everybody invested in LinkedIn. $11 billion. $11 billion. And now they got to spend that money on something. What that means to me practically is that the value of my house goes up. And what that means is nothing unless I sell the house. But the house next to me, I live in the poor side of Sunnyvale. The house next to us is about 1,000 square foot. They put it on the market for $600K, $1,600 a square foot. They sold it for over $700K. In a weekend, no contingencies, cash. So I mean, again, what that means to me practically. Nothing, because I'm not trying to sell my house, not yet anyway. So here we go. So we got eBay, right? eBay is down here. Skype is over here. PayPal is over here. Stanford University is up here. University of California, Berkeley. Berkeley, we all know Berkeley, right? We're going to meet them in a minute. Berkeley is way up here. What's Berkeley famous for? Hippies, that's right, hippies. You're going to find here in a moment how much of an impact the hippie generation has on what goes on here. Oops. Microsoft is down here. Infinite Loop. This is Apple headquarters. See, Apple headquarters is right here. And Microsoft, NASA, Lockheed Martin, you know, ships, airplanes and guns and all that sort of sits over here. There's NASA. And then Twitter, here's Twitter in downtown San Francisco. It's all right there. What I don't have up on there is Netflix and a bunch of others. They're there as well. Silicon Valley. True or false? Test. Invented in Silicon Valley, raise your hand, true. False, leave your hands down, all right? Invented in Silicon Valley, the transistor. False. How about the integrated circuit? False. How about the PC, for Pete's sake? The personal computer. Y'all chicken, come on. That's a false. That's false. We got a pattern going on here. Internet. How about the internet? The internet was created in Silicon Valley, right? No, it was in France, right? The World Wide Web. That's CERN, right, exactly. The browser, Netscape. You know, Netscape, Google, AOL, InstaVista, and all these, Alta Vista, Silicon Valley. False. Biotech, that's where we, bury bonds and shooting them up and all that sort. We investigate how the biology works, integrated with technology, build, Bioman. What was that, a $6 million man, right? Invented in Silicon Valley or not? You guys are no fun. I can't get anybody. False, that's right, social networks. False. North Carolina. The smartphone. I got a smartphone. I'm going to take pictures of you guys before I'm done. The smartphone. Palm. iPhone. False. Right. None of them. The search engine. Oh, come on. There's 10 here. One of them's got to be invented in Silicon Valley, right? None of them. None of these were invented in Silicon Valley. But they came to Silicon Valley is when they became something. And it started with, this is the key word, we were talking about this at dinner, disruption. I tell you, in Silicon Valley, they love to mess with people's lives. They just love to do that. I'm thinking, what's wrong with you? Every time I go to the page, it's on a different spot. We experience that, right? That's what they love to do. Well, I went to GoDaddy headquarters. GoDaddy. Well, they're not in Silicon Valley. They're in Phoenix. So I'm sitting there, GoDaddy. I thought I have to go there every once in a while to move stuff around. Every time I go there, it's somewhere else. So what's wrong with this place? And so I asked one of the CEO dudes at GoDaddy. I said, "Will you people ever stop moving things around?" And they roared with laughter. No, why would we stop doing that? That's what's fun. It is fun for them to get around and mess with our life. And that's who started that? That was the Berkeley, the hippie movement. Hippies, this is a culture that exists in Silicon Valley. People, this is the truth, people sit around in Silicon Valley, they sit around coffee tables thinking out loud, how can I mess with the world? How can I mess with publications? How can I mess with the publishing industry? How can I mess with the advertising industry? What industry is there that exists? How can I mess with the mobile phone industry? What industry is there that exists that I can mess with? And they think about, how can I turn that around? I want to disrupt the world, is what they sit around talking about. We have a science of risk-taking. It is okay to try and fail in Silicon Valley. People walk around bragging about, this is the truth, we would be embarrassed in our generation. They brag about how much money they have lost. They think that's cool. And I think, what, are you nuts? But they do, because they know they have been entrusted with this much. So what they're learning is the old Thomas Edison lesson. Remember the Thomas Edison lesson? 50,000 inventions. Right? 50,000 inventions. He was criticized for 50,000 inventions that failed. How did he respond? He responded, I didn't find 50,000 things that failed. I found 50,000 things that don't work. Exactly. And we have that culture that exists in Silicon Valley. And of course, it started with the 49ers. Not the San Francisco 49ers, but the 1849ers, the gold rush. Let's go out and see if we can't strike it rich. And so off they went to try and strike it rich. So to go out, fail, sometimes succeed, is the same percent. The same people who succeeded in finding gold in 1849, that same percentage is equal to those who made it big on the internet. Well, isn't that interesting? I mean, how many thousands of people went out trying to find gold? And what small percentage came back with it? How many people try to go and create some sort of internet, blah, 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 and come back successful? It's about the same. About the same. The draw. We have huge corporate engines. I'll give you a list here in a minute. We have intellectual capital. We've got smart people in Silicon Valley. They still can't drive, but they are smart. They're just dumb people smart people who are dumb instead of dumb people who are dumb. They still can't drive. We have Stanford, a tremendous school. It's an amazing school. If you don't believe me, ask somebody who went to Stanford and they'll tell you. I've never met anybody who graduated from Stanford who didn't tell me in every single conversation, I mean, without exaggeration, every single conversation they will tell me, I went to Stanford. And I'm thinking, okay, and my pants go on the same way as yours does, and then what, right? And then we got Cal Berkeley. Cal Berkeley is a public school. Anybody and your brother can go, go. I mean, you take the test, get your SAT scores, whatever, and go. And then we have the UC San Francisco, University of California, San Francisco, top-ranked medical school. Well, I'll brag on America here for a minute. America has more Nobel Prizes than all of the rest of the world combined. If you take numbers 2 through whatever, add them all up, America has more Nobel Prizes than all of the rest of the world combined. Everybody says, ooh. If that doesn't impress you, you're not awake. That's like amazing. It really is amazing. However, most of those people who get their Nobel Prizes come from a foreign country, settle in America, because they did not have the freedom to do it in their country. Well, that's a different issue. If you cannot do it in America, you can't do it. If you cannot accomplish what your dream is in America, you cannot accomplish your dream. There are other places that will stifle you. America does not stifle. And if you think America stifles you, come to Silicon Valley. We do not. We do not stifle there. So out of these schools, these 3 schools have more Nobel Prizes than all of America combined. out of 3 schools. So America outranks the world. These 3 schools have more than all the rest of Americans combined. That's impressive, right? So we've got UCSF that has 3. Who's next, Stanford or the open school? Yeah, that's right. Stanford's next. Stanford has 16 Nobel Prizes. UC Berkeley has 31. All comers go to Hippieville, and they outperform the top at the Stanford University. Now, that's something. You say, we go to this school with this idea and this mentality that I can take a risk, I can upset the world, who cares? Because that's what I am here for, to make the world a better place, to make the world think different, to make the world stretch. This is what's going on here, right? So, we have venture capital. Venture capital, this is the honest to goodness truth. There are people with piles of money. I'm serious, there are piles and piles of money wanting to give it away. They want to give the money away. Now, I didn't say they want to throw the money away. They want to give it away. They really, really, really do. I've got this money. You know, it's like the Forrest Gump. After a while, it's just for show. There's only so much money a person can spend, and then what are you going to do, right? They've got piles and piles and piles of money, and they're looking for somewhere to give it to. All you have to do is come in with your dream. Come in with your viable dream. Come in with your idea. And then we've got angels. I'll show you some pictures of some angels. They call them angel investors. These are people who don't want their names known, and they, too, have piles of money. Who can I give my money to? Anybody want money? Nobody wants money on the boat here? All right, well, I want money. All I have to come up with is a good idea. And they'll give it to you. But that mentality exists there. So we have a start and fail culture. I'm sitting in a coffee shop. This guy comes up, talks to my buddy. I can't wait to get my business started. This is going to be cool. And my buddy said, well, what's your credibility factor? You cannot believe how many times I started a company and it didn't work. We would be embarrassed by that. I have wasted so much money in so many different ways. Look how much I don't know, or look how much I know. But it's a bragging pin. This is how many times I failed. We have a law that is open to culture, to new startups. All right, come, get up. I mean, it's really easy to get your company started here. We have weather. If I were not working in social media marketing, I could get a job as a weather forecaster. And I would say that every morning it'll be about 50 degrees. Midday it'll go up to 70. We'll have bright blue skies. And I will be right 95% of the time. I'm serious. We have perfect weather. I mean, if it rains, it's news. I tell you, anybody here from California? Californians are nuts, even if you are from California. Californians think rain is snow. So when it starts raining, they slow down. Oh my God. So what's up with that? It's just wet. You keep on going. But they think it snows. It'll slow right down, right? Californians, they don't know what to do with it. So we have perfect weather. All right. And we have busloads and busloads and busloads of Chinese and Indians and Taiwanese and, oh my goodness, Russians and whatever. So I have a friend, Majid. Majid got his American citizenship. And so they had the swearing in. I promised to defend the Constitution of the United States, blah, blah, blah. And nobody went to see it. So I said, Majid, I'll come. He's Persian. He said, I'm Persian. What's that mean? He's from Iran. And they don't want to say it, but he's from Iran. He said, I'm from Persia. Well, anyway, so they call out the names of all the companies by alphabetical order. You know, A, Azerbaijan or something, and B, Bahrain, and C, Cuba, and D, Delhi, or no, that's not a state, that's a country. Help me out here, D, something, anyway. Denmark, all right. And then they get to, we skipped C, China. 1/3, there were 1,400 people in the room, 1/3 of the room stood up. China, 1.3 billion Chinese, 1.3 billion Chinese. And their very, 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 very best are in Silicon Valley. The best of the best of 1.3 billion come here. And then they go to, what comes after D? E, F, G, H, I, India. The other half. There are more Indians in Silicon Valley. They can't drive either, but they're all over Silicon Valley. We have dreamers come out of the woodwork. We have dreamers master a second language, master a second culture, get MBAs, get doctorates, get PhDs in second languages and second cultures, and come here to see if they can't build something up, right? So, I gotta check my time here. All right, we're good. Radio, Marconi, right? Turn of the century, Marconi. There's no way you can send a signal across the ocean. No, you can't do that, right? Well, he did anyway. So what happens when you get Marconi in the radio, the fledgling radio industry, you get the amateur community. Well, we want to make a radio. We want to do that. And so they started building kits to try and build radios like Marconi did. And so where did they do this at? Well, they did it in Silicon Valley. Well, what happens then is one of the very best of those amateurs gets really, really smart. He gets his PhD in something. He gets called to the left coast, or the right coast. We're on the left coast. He gets called to the right coast. Ends up at MIT as a professor. He ends up at MIT as a professor. He comes back after teaching at MIT, starts Stanford's engineering school. He says, I'm going to make Stanford's engineering school the very, very best in the world. And he almost did. Cal Berkeley. He said, I'm going to make Stanford the best in the world. And see, and Stanford has this unique mentality that it's not all about academics. It's not all about academics. It's about practical academics. If you ever sat in class and you've been asked a question, you've been teaching blah, 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 blah. And so, and what's that got to do with the price of eggs in India or whatever? You say, why are you telling me that, right? Give me some practical application. You've ever wondered why teachers tell you what they teach? Now, we got teachers in here. I love you. I love you, teachers, okay? But sometimes, tell me what the application is. Stanford's all about application. Yahoo was created in a Stanford MBA program. Google was created in a Stanford MBA program. You see, they build it, and then they go off and apply to see if there's anything in there. Well, so this guy, I forget his name, Turbin, whatever, he decides he's going to create the very best engineering program that he possibly can in Stanford. He gets these first two students, there they are, David and William. And David and William, they come up with this idea to create this sort of electromagnetic trans-duper bloppensmopper or something that does something that I don't understand. But David and William come up with this electromagnetic tool that Disney needed in order to create the Mickey Fantasia film. They're creating Fantasia, right? Disney's creating Fantasia. And so they need this electronic device in order to make this Fantasia work. So they reached out to Stanford and said, do you have anybody who can make what we need? Well, I have David and William who's made this already. David, Packard, and William Hewlett. HP. This is how HP got its break, by building its first product and having a practical application for it to create Fantasia for Disney in Southern California. And that's when HP was born. Isn't that cool? So we have an emphasis on product. If you have money out the wazoo, and there is money out the wazoo, thank you guys very much for throwing it at Silicon Valley. That was very kind of you. And the startup, the bubble, remember the 1995, 96, 97, all the money got thrown there? Well, that money's still there somewhere, right? Just can't see it. So we got money out the wazoo. When you have money out the wazoo, you can concentrate on creating a superior lab. This is Facebook's office space. This is one of Facebook's office space before they moved to Menlo Park. And so you have an emphasis on product. Who cares whether it can be marketed? Who cares whether it can be monetized? Who cares whether there's an ROI, a return on the investment? Who cares? All I want is something really, really, really cool. And when I have something cool, I'll figure out how to make money off of it. And we have that mentality there. Here's your bundle of money. Make me something neat. And they either do or they don't, right? When you have that kind of emphasis on product, you get good products, right? You get good products. So we have HP, Intel's there, Apple, Google's right down the street, Facebook's up the street, Netflix, right? It sits across the street from eBay, right? Yep, there's eBay's, right? Netflix is Los Gatos, eBay's in Campbell. You can eat lunch at eBay and have coffee at Netflix within 20 minutes. They're right that close to each other. And then, of course, there's LinkedIn, and then finally we got Twitter. All of these guys. Twitter, I might show this again, so if I repeat myself, just blame it on me being old, okay? But chances are, if I repeat myself for being old, you guys aren't going to remember anyway, so we're even, right? Twitter went public. They got like $10 billion or some ridiculous number in one night. 1,600 new millionaires were born. 1,600 millionaires in one night because of their IPO. So there's money out the wazoo, right? So kind of going to go a little bit quicker here. There are more devices connected to the internet than there are people on Earth. More devices than there are people on Earth. There are more cell phones in India than there are toothbrushes. That's right. They would rather call their dentist than know what it is to not have to call the dentist in the first place. Right? 40% of people socialize. If you're sitting at a table of 5 people, there are 5 people sitting at the table, chances are 2 of them would rather not be there. They would rather be online. It happens at my house all the time. I'm serious. There's my daughter, Mia, me, and my wife. And she's on her cell phone talking to somebody. So she's keeping the percentages up. Right, Sam? All right, she can't deny it. She's got the camera there. 100,000 tweets every minute. A tweet is nothing more than a text message that you can send to mass groups. We have 2 million queries. A query is when you use a search engine. All use search engines? Try to get some information, use a search engine. 2 million every minute. Every minute, 3 billion a day. 48 hours of YouTube. 48 hours of YouTube are uploaded every minute. You need 48 hours, you need 48 screens that you watch continually like this in order to be able to watch everything that gets uploaded, although you cannot keep up. It's an impossibility. 684,000 Facebook's updates. What that means is everybody on the ship here, all 600 passengers on the ship here, have to go to the internet cafe. They'll love this. E-connection, 70 cents a minute. Go there and update your Facebook 1,000 times every minute to keep up. That's everybody on the ship trying to keep up. That's what happens. Let's see, we got more men, more women on Facebook, more women on Twitter. Pinterest, we don't care. Google, more men. Women, a little bit more on LinkedIn. 1 billion Facebook people. It's a little bit higher now. You can't keep the chart. It just keeps growing, right? 500 million Twitter people. 400, this is like 600 million now. Google or LinkedIn is up to 257 million. 50 million Brits. 50 million Brits. How many British people are there? What's the population? 60 million. That's right. We're good. So one out of every 12 people in Britain are on LinkedIn, right? And so on. So here's the people who are online. 7 years old. You know you have to be 14 years old. Or 14 years old to be on Facebook. Yet 7% of people on Facebook are under 17. Something wrong with that picture there. Got a bunch of goofy parents out there trying to get their kids a head start. What's going on here? So you got 7%. Do you know that about one tenth of everything on Facebook is bogus? Bogus. So you got 1.2 billion people on Facebook. That equals 120 million. 120 million false identities on Facebook. That's the population of Japan. That's like there's a whole country of Japan on Facebook that isn't anybody, right? 65 years old, right down here. There's us, 10%. 10% of us, right? Make up that. That's another 120 million. This is Twitter. No, I'm sorry, this is LinkedIn, this is Twitter. The 65-year-old, oh, look at that. I'm probably not supposed to do that, don't tell anybody. For the first time, more than half of Americans 65 years and older are online. If you're not online, if you're not emailing, you're in the minority now. You're in the minority. So why do I care? If I want to make friends, I'm going to go to Facebook. This is the billboard outside of Facebook headquarters. My head goes up to the button there. That's how big the building is. It's on Willow Street in Menlo Park. If you want to make announcements to the world, we're going to go to Twitter. It's in downtown San Francisco. If I want to get a job, I'm going to go to LinkedIn. And we're going to dive into these more in detail. I'm going to show you screenshots. We're not going to go live here because we can't do that. But I'll give you screenshots. This is how you do this. This is how you get that. And if I want to get found, this is a tremendous boon here. If I want people to find me, I go to Google. Do you know it is cheaper for people, it's cheaper for people to find you than it is for you to find them. It is, now we have an artist here. It is cheaper for people to find you than it is for you to find them. It's just a fundamental rule of life since Google done their thing. Outside of Google, they named their operating systems after Gingerbread and Android Dude, and they got ice cream cone. Now they got one that's called Kit Kat. Seriously, they're weird like that. That's Google headquarters, by the way. I want to show you a video. about 4 minutes long. If you've been to one of these places, cheer. Mumbai, I've been there. Ireland, I'm going there next week. Zanzibar, I don't even know where that's at. Cheer! Nobody's ever been to Australia? The Netherlands. Wait. Look at the dog. I've been there in Mexico. Iceland. There we go. Turn it up a little bit. Nobody been to Sweden? This is a great one. Ah. We just came from there. Whoa, this was fun. This is my favorite. Ah, this was fun. Anybody been there? Matt, that guy's name's Matt. He has a website, and I don't normally talk like this, but I can't help it because it's his website. It's wherethehellismatt.com. Wherethehellismatt.com. So on his own dime, he and his girlfriend started traveling the world. And he started doing this silly dance, right? And as he done that, people began to realize this guy's coming to our city. He's coming to our city. So when he started showing up in different countries, people started to show up and dance with him. And now he's been around the world some 4 different times, dancing like a goofball, but just genuine happiness and goodwill, that sort of thing. But what he did was, this particular video here has been seen some 45 million times. 45 million times. And what he did was he put the video up on his website and he emailed the different people who danced at the different times. And all of those people are now coming to his website. Say at 3 minutes and 12 seconds in Toronto, you can find me the 14th person from the right side. And they're pointing themselves out to where they are so that they can tell their friends, I danced with Matt all over the world. Well, 45 million, the average person knows about 100 people. 45 times 100 is 4.5 billion people. We've just about reached the world by doing a silly dance going around the world. Isn't that something? That's the power. That's the tremendous power that social media brings to people like us. We can do that. We can at our fingertips. Some of you have been to more countries than he has. I have a student, Susan. Susan's been to 70-some different countries. Anybody been more than 70 countries? Yeah, and she has 1,000 pictures from each country. So one at a time she's throwing these pictures up online because people are desperate to see that from your eyes. You're sitting on gold. You're sitting on gold. Put those pictures up there. Say, this is what's inside that picture, and you will be found. And then somebody says, I want that picture. I want to put that here. You say, give me $10. I'll give it to you. You see, there's tremendous potential there. So this fellow, anybody recognize this fellow? Edison. Yeah, Edison said about, you can't be sure if his, and I'm going to show you who this is, if his influence was good or bad, but he definitely did not leave things the way he found them, right? He definitely didn't leave things the way he found them. Who's he talking about? Edison said, don't know whether he did good or bad, but he definitely changed the world, right? Henry Ford, exactly, Henry Ford. So here's my pitch for today, right? Leave it to whomever to decide whether your influence was good or bad. But for goodness sakes, do not leave things the way you found them. Dream big dreams. Make things happen. We have at our fingertips the ability to change the world. Thank you very much for your time.